The purpose of this video is to learn about a little about South Korea. First of all, the location and the geography. South Korea occupies the southern part of the Korean peninsula. The peninsula is about 85,000 square miles, of which about 45% or about 38 square miles constitutes the territory of South Korea. Korea is mountainous, and only about 20% of the land in the south is flat enough for farming. The peninsula is also surrounded on three sides by Russia, China, and Japan. The language. About 70 million people speak Korean. Korean is considered part of the Tungusic branch of the Altaic group of the Euro-Altaic language family. Korea also uses two numeric systems, one of which is Chinese-based. The structure of a Korean sentence is always subject, object, and verb. And the verb is always the last word in a sentence. Thus, in Korean, the sentence I go to the store is I store go. Symbols used in Korean are extremely simple, basic lines, circles, and squares. And Korean is not pictographic like Chinese. These letters, 14 consonants and 10 vowels, are combined in groups of 2 or 3 or 4 characters and are read in clockwise circles from left to right. Family structure. The family is the most important part of the Korean life. In Confucian tradition, the father is the head of the family, and it is his responsibility to provide food, clothing, and shelter, and to approve the marriages of family members. The eldest son has special duties, first to his parents, then to his brothers, from older to younger, then to his sons, then to his wife, and lastly to his daughters. Family welfare is much more important than the needs of the individual. Members of the family are tied to each other because the action of one family member reflects on the rest of the family. In many cases, the family register can trace a family's history through male ancestors for over 500 years. Etiquette and customs in South Korea. Greetings follow strict rules of protocol. Many South Koreans shake hands with expatriates after the bow, thereby blending both cultures. The person of lower status bows to the person of higher status. Yet it is the most senior person who initiates the handshake. The person who initiates the bow says, which means pleased to meet you. Information about the other person will be given to the person they are being introduced to in advance of the actual meeting. Wait to be introduced at a social gathering, and last but not least, when you leave a social gathering, say goodbye and bow to each person individually. Traditions. Koreans have Chuseok, which is the Korean version of Thanksgiving. They go to families' graves and bow and honor them. Aber-Iso is celebrated when a baby lives 100 days. Koreans have this tradition because babies had a high mortality rate, and after 100 days, they could be assured that they will live. Now some taboos. Don't talk bad to older people. Never talk back. It is the worst thing. If you touch the head of an older person, or if you pat someone's head, it is very insulting. Only the old and elderly can touch the heads of younger people. Don't break dishes or mirrors. You will have a bad day. If women go shopping in the morning and do not buy anything at the store, it is seen as bad practice. Schools and education. Schools for all children between the ages of 6 and 15 is free. Senior high schools for students aged 15 to 18 do charge tuition fees in order to supplement government fundings, but these fees do not appear burdensome enough to prevent students from attending. Private schools receive a small amount of government funding and subsidies, but are primarily financed through tuition fees and support from private donors and organizations. The Korean public education structure is divided into three parts: 6 years of primary school, followed by 3 years of middle school, and then 3 years of high school. The primary curriculum consists of 9 principal subjects, which are moral education, Korean language, social studies, math, science, physical education, music, fine arts, and practical arts. Middle school curriculum consists of 12 basic or required classes, plus electives and extracurricular activities. High schools are divided into academic and vocational schools. Now, a day in the school. A typical day finds high schoolers studying before school begins at about 8 a.m. Classes run for 50 minutes each, with a morning break and a 15-minute lunch period. The afternoon sessions resume about 1 p.m., and classes continue until about 4 or 4:30, followed by the cleaning of the classroom. Students may then take a short dinner break at home, or they may eat at school. Teachers typically move from room to room, while students stay in one place. Students return to the school library to study or attend private schools or tutoring sessions until between 10 p.m. and midnight. They return home where they may have a snack, listen to music, or watch television before going to bed. Elementary and middle school students have similar but somehow less rigorous days with shorter hours and more recreational activities. Now, what can you do for students who come from different parts of the world and are ELL students? Well, first of all, I think being open minded. This might help you understand why they have certain traditions and customs. Be a helpful tool for the student and the family. When someone moves to a different country that has different rules and norms, one can be very confused about what to do or how to follow certain things. So it is very important that one as a teacher helps other students and families understand what are the structures of the school. Assume nothing. Just because someone comes from a certain part of the world doesn't mean that they're gonna act the way that we pretty much think they are going to act. They may or may not, so we just have to be careful about that. Take advantage of the student's knowledge and its culture. If you're teaching about a certain culture and if you have a student that comes from that culture, what a better tool than to use that student's culture and ask him or her to help explain certain rules, traditions, or taboos. Get to know the student and its family. I think this is important since the student may come from a different part of the world and we don't know anything about their culture. So getting to know the student and their family helps with getting to know why they act a certain way or why they put priority in other things that we may not put as much priority as they do. Become knowledgeable of the culture. Well, getting to know the student and its family can be part of this, but also getting to know pretty much, like school structure and things like that, so that we know why, again, students behave a certain way. Well, I hope you learned something from this video.